Oh, it's 2 days of giving at the University of Massachusetts with the purpose of funding success in the classroom and competition on the field and inspiration inside the community. Our success is not possible without you. Welcome to our annual evening with Ryan Bamford here at the Marty Jacobson Football Performance Center. Day one of our 2 days of giving as UMass Gives 2022. And the purpose here, Ryan, what are we doing today?
Let me just tell you, I am amazed every time we've done this now for a couple of years, but when we get to the end of the first day, at how many people have stepped up to help us, and then you see a bigger push even tomorrow, and I'm excited about that. But these are two important days for us in that it really shows the investment and the interest that people have in helping our young people not only gain a great competitive experience, but obviously a great academic experience and their lives here at UMass.
Well, the focus is the student athlete. And so today we're going to talk with a couple of student athletes. We're also going to hear from a championship coach as well and learn what your gifts have done and will eventually fund from 2022. And I think we start by taking a look back at some of the success that your organization, your department has had in this specific field to fund the success and different amenities that the student athlete can enjoy here at UMass.
Well, when I arrived in 2015, there was no doubt that we needed to do a lot. It was like taking just small bites out of an elephant to try to get to where we are today. And out of the kindness of the folks who have invested in these from a philanthropic standpoint to help move the needle, we've really tried to invest in spaces that our students are using every day. Obviously, we've got a really aged building in Boyden where it's kind of the hub of our activity as a department. And so we focused a number of things there. But we're a decentralized department. So we've obviously got the Football Performance Center, Champion Center. We've got all the hockey spaces, track and field, and the cage. And so we're really trying to be strategic about making sure that where we can really add impact, we've been able to do that. And I think this slide really shows the growth that we've been able to make in terms of facility projects based on the philanthropy.
I mean, it's a lot when you look at, going back to fiscal year 2017. And when you look at the next slide, which is the growth in terms of being able to bring in alums and people that care about this university and the student athlete experience. I mean, that chart right here speaks for itself in terms of the funding. And I think fans are seeing that funding translate to success on the field.
Yeah, it certainly has taken shape in some ways. People, when it first arrived 7 years ago, we set out a vision and tried to get people to believe and instill that pride in what we were doing. And certainly they showed up. And I think it has yielded. We had a number of successful programs when I arrived, and we're going to hear from Angela McMahon-Serpone here later this evening, and her program has done amazing work before I got here and has continued to do that. And winning begets winning. I mean, people want to be part of something successful, and certainly I think that's helped, but they've also seen the benefit of not just the competitive success, but also the ways that we've been able to shape the experience for the student athletes here at UMass, and that's been extremely powerful and helped us raise even more money the last few years.
Where are we for UMass Gives 2022 as we are here live at the FPC?
Yeah, we're just shy of $150,000 for the day today, and just shy of 600 donors. To put that in perspective, we were over 2,000 donors and over $500,000 in fundraising. We've focused really on trying to get participation this year, and so we're going to make a push, and this is for those watching, if you haven't made a gift, and for those that surround you that love this place and that bleed maroon, please encourage people to give any amount. Participation is important. Get in the family, be with us, and as we push forward and continue to have success, we do it with you. We do it together, and I think that's been the mantra that we've tried to certainly push, and it's worked. And we got a long way to go to get to where we were last year, which was a highly successful year.
All right, well, let's see if we can chew up some time here and get that number up as we stream this live on Facebook. UMassathletics.com/give. And to give you a taste, for those, I think there's so many things that we just outlined there that fans might not have been able to see firsthand at least, and maybe they've seen snippets on social media of some of the improvements. So I wanted to run through some of these things that have been accomplished in recent history here at UMass. And I want to start with one that I think is one of my favorites in terms of the recent additions, and that's Legacy Hall at the Champion Center. This project came out so sleek, so sharp, and I think it turns a lot of heads.
Well, when I came in 2015, this was earmarked in the budget for about $400,000. We actually used that money to do some different things to connect the building to the Mullen Center in a different way that was going to be more advantageous for our two programs. And I told our chancellor, I said, we'll raise the money to do Legacy Hall and really tell our basketball story. And sure enough, we've done it. And now, especially with the success on the women's side with Coach Verdi's program, we're now just starting to update the success that we had this year. But it's a remarkable facility. It certainly lends itself for our student athletes to understand who came before them, the success that they had, and then for our recruits to understand how powerful the brand is for UMass men's and women's basketball. And we look forward to getting our fans in there at some point too. Coming out of COVID, being a little bit more responsible and strategic about getting them in there probably in the preseason next fall.
I think one thing that might get lost in a lot of this, where people look for success on the field, obviously, but the academic piece has always been a big part of your administration and what's transpired here. And the Foote Academic Center in the Boyding building, which you mentioned, has seen some years. She's got some years underneath her, but the facelift that it has been given over the last 5-6 years, and especially from the academic side, the Foote Academic Center has been a big part of that.
Yeah, we built a new lounge out when I first got here, and that was important because our student athletes really didn't have a place to congregate. And then this was our next charge, was trying to rebuild and renovate this academic space, which I would tell you probably 80% of our students use on a weekly basis based on how we've tracked it. And it's completely revitalized the learning experience, and it's what you see on campus in a number of the new spaces. And we took our cues from some of the design that they've had in the integrated science building and some of the other spaces in the library. So been an awesome addition. We just rebranded it in the last year as well, highlighting some of our successes academically, some of the prominent alumni, and obviously the 4 pillars of our department and the vision for where we want to go. And so it's been an awesome addition to make sure that we're using that square footage in the right way, and that ultimately our student athletes use it in a way that helps them academically.
We are sitting in the Martin Jacobson Football Performance Center. You can see the field out there behind us. We'll have the spring game coming up on Saturday. We'll dive into that in just a little bit later on. But constant additions and tweaks that have transpired in this building, even though it's not that old.
Our Gridiron Club's done an amazing job. We've got a number of former players that have jumped in and said, we want, the university stepped up, and a number of those alums stepped up and helped build this building. And then to actually take it and rebrand it, we did some really generic branding when we first moved in 8 or 9 years ago. And to really make it a space where our student athletes live every day, but also when you bring young people in that want to play at a high level, this is what our competitors have. And to tell our story, which is a really awesome story of success, first at the FCS level, and now as we are in year 10 of FBS play, we really needed to tell our story in a different way, and I think we've captured it in the hallway where our coaches' offices are, our meeting rooms are, the spaces, the public spaces in the hunt room, and telling, here's an image right here of football at the flagship, all of our championship teams. I can tell you the first time our alums came in, and a lot of them won championships because we've won so many over the decades, they saw it and they were like, this is great. This highlights all the success that we've had in this program, and then some of the imagery going into the locker room. And it's important to refresh things like this on a regular basis to make sure that you're really branding yourself in the right way. And obviously this nutrition center that area that we just did last year to the tune of about $250,000, all through gifts to the football program, was an important piece to us getting better and developing from a nutritional standpoint as well. And that sits in our weight room, which has been awesome.
You mentioned championships there, and there was a big one with the Hockey National Championship, and a new locker room that was really redone at the Mullins Center recently. But this project was, I think, in the works before the current wave of success that Coach Carve and his team has had, and it is finished now, and it looks phenomenal.
Yeah, we were able to do the weight room first at $750,000, which was right when Carve was getting here the first 2 years, which was really huge for our improvement on the ice. And now I think we have facilities that befit a national champion. And they're as good as really any in the country. And we take a lot of pride in the fact that our young men leave the locker room and they go right to the practice rink or left to the competition rink, and now have a space where they can study, they can do film, they can be together, build that camaraderie, and obviously have a place to get prepared to go out and win championships. And I'm happy we were able to follow it up with another Hockey East championship this year, and also go on to the NCAA. And this is going to continue to allow Coach Carville and our staff the ability to recruit at a really high level. And excited. And this was a $2 million project that was, again, all through gifts to the hockey program. And so many people stepped up to help. And it just happened to coincide with a national championship run, which doesn't hurt. We opened it earlier this fall in October and celebrated that championship with a number of those donors.
You can just see the constant improvements that are being put into place, and it's really kind of fun to watch unfold firsthand, and we got a couple more that we'll get to here. But I think when you're someone who's giving to a university, sometimes it just feels like you're just donating into this vast void of where is it going? And the beauty of the UMassathletics.com/give in this 2-day period is that you can decide which program you want to ultimately push your funds to, and you can see there with what's being done with it. And that includes, maybe some stuff that isn't as fancy or headline grabbing, but, things like the practice soccer field that allows the soccer teams to get more work in. And I think that's something that, just came up over the last year and a half, 2 years, came online.
Yeah, it came online in 2019, so just before the pandemic, and we've rebranded that practice facility. So when people come onto campus, they see it, they recognize it. It is long overdue for our men's and women's soccer programs. But when we talked about philanthropy at work, that was a really important mantra for us when I first got here. Was we need to put these things into action and show people the power of philanthropy. And I think it's not just in brick and mortar, because there's a lot of other things that we do for our programs through philanthropy. But these are certainly the hallmark of a really good fundraising campaign and investment from people who care about the University of Massachusetts and its athletics programs. That's been awesome.
All right, 2 more to get to here before we talk to our student athletes. And that is one that I think a lot of the teams can utilize, and that's the indoor bubble. Yep. I know it grabs attention when you drive by it on Route 116, but you see this thing and you say, wow, that is something that you need in a cold and weather environment university. And it's not just football. It's all sports.
It's everyone. Yeah, and our students use it too at night. We give it over to our student body to use at times during the year. But the priority user groups are our athletic teams. And, I can tell you that we've had just about every team get in there and use it. Even swimming has gotten in there and used it for dry land stuff in the winter. And so it's been a remarkable addition to our portfolio in that when you're in the Northeast, and we've had some, thank goodness, I should knock on wood somewhere, we've had some decent winters the last couple, but it gets cold still. And I think to be able to get in there, we can play games in there if we need to, both in soccer and lacrosse. And it's been an awesome facility for us in that really that November to February window, especially for our spring sports gearing up for their seasons. We knew it was going to be good. I think it's been even better than I had hoped and anticipated. And for those that haven't been in there, when you first walk in the first time, you're overwhelmed by how big it is. And I always, when we get high winds and a lot of snow, I'm always keeping my fingers crossed, making sure that thing's still standing at the end of a storm. But we're in good shape. Our facility group does an amazing job, and it's been an awesome addition in the last 3 years.
All right, how about Boyden? We talk about this building. There's some additions here that have taken place. You've got the weight room that is coming online. You've got other branding opportunities that have helped there. What's the most recent transformation there and what's on the horizon?
Yeah, if I could wave a wand and could have done this 7 years ago, I would have. Yeah, hey, anyone would have loved to have raised $100 million and build a new facility,
Yeah.
or raise 35 or 40 million and totally renovate Boyden. We've knocked off about almost $5 million in projects. This weight room will get us over the $6 million mark. It's a $2 million weight room for the Boyden facility. And we have a lot of our Olympic sports that use that facility, and it's going to go offline next month, and it'll be back online at the end of the first term here in the fall. And that will be a game changer from a sports performance standpoint. But we've touched just every locker room in there. We've renovated at some point our sports medicine area, our mental performance and sports psychology area. All of our offices have gotten a facelift of some sort, and then a lot of branding. Then I mentioned the lobby and the academic space. So just trying to really be strategic in how we overhaul it in the spaces, again, that our students are using every day.
We're on Facebook Live. Hey, we're taking questions. We'll have those coming up with an evening with Ryan Bamford in a little bit. And we're just going to hear from men's lacrosse player Chris Connolly in a second as we bring him on set. We'd like to remind you that you can donate at any time, umassathletics.com/give. And feel free, if it's just $5, if it's $10, whatever you can do, just let us know you're with us and what we're trying to do here at UMass. And then also, we've got a lot of good stuff coming up here in the next couple of weeks. You've got the Coaches Caravan, as UMass will be on the move. We'll be in Worcester, we'll be in Newton, Mass, we'll be in Boston. This is a free event at Wormtown Brewery on May 24th. That's going to be a whole lot of fun. Visit with the coaches, ask them questions, connect with them as you can talk to the championship coaches there and also get to know some of the new faces or guys that have returned, like head coach Don Brown and, of course, Frank Martin. Also, if you're interested, come on and get your season tickets as deposits are being taken. Season tickets for women's basketball, the reigning A10 champs. We're going to see some highlights from them in just a little bit. Men's basketball and what Coach Frank Martin has done. The buzz for his program is at an all-time high. And, of course, here football as we ramp up for the spring game coming up on Saturday. Make sure to get your season tickets. And, again, you can give at umassathletics.com/give. With that said, how about we bring on one of the student athletes that your donations directly impact, and that is Chris Connolly from men's lacrosse. Chris, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm phenomenal. Thanks for being here today. I know you guys got a busy weekend.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We were talking about the Boyden building, and I was joking with you earlier on, but you've seen the transformation because you've been here 5 years. Give us a little bit of a synopsis as to what it was like when you first got here and now what it is for you guys.
Yeah, I've obviously been here a long time, so yeah, I mean, definitely at the beginning, I think everybody can agree that it definitely needed some updates. I think the Foot Academic Center has been absolutely ginormous for every single sports team. And then on top of that, just the branding that's kind of been put up all around the building has been great and really gives us UMass pride.
You know, when these things pop up, the lacrosse lax backers really take hold, and they're phenomenal in donating to the program. What's your connection with those guys, the guys that played here, and how their continued support has helped you just as a student athlete and soon to be professional?
Yeah, I think for starters, I mean, without the lax backers, there is no UMass lacrosse. These guys have a tremendous impact on what we do every single day. And then, you know, me personally and a lot of guys, the networking opportunities that we have all the time with these guys are unbelievable. They're always reaching out, trying to help give us jobs and put us in line and put us in touch with different people to not only help us in academics and in sports here, but kind of pass that into the professional world as well.
Anything you want to?
I want to highlight that my man's got maroon pants on
does.
today. Okay, which is like an unbelievable.
We didn't tell him we had the desk.
Yeah, we didn't tell him we had the desk. So I think but I just want to say that that's impressive, school pride and everything. Chris has had some adversity through injuries. One of our best players in the program, certainly in my 7 years. There we go. There's the maroon pants. And he's been an unbelievable ambassador for us. And here are some highlights here, but. The ability, and he spoke to it so eloquently, our lax backer group not just through philanthropy, which they are amazing, but the power of that networking. That's at a great institution. The best institutions and the best programs have the ability to change an experience for a young person based on what life looks like after UMass. And that's where the lax backers, I think, excel, is you're going to get set up for life in Greg Canella's program, and you're going to win a lot of lacrosse games and championships, but they're going to take care of each other when you leave this place. That's an unbelievable program. And so UMass Gives isn't just about raising money, it's about making those connections for our young people as well.
Chris, I went to pull highlights for you, and I just needed one game. You scored 4 goals in that game against Albany.
That was the best. I love that
That's
one.
a good one, too.
So what's next for you? I mean, we talk about your relationship and eventually, leaving Massachusetts and becoming a professional in your personal in your field. What are the connections that you might have here to help you, begin your
definitely.
career?
Believe it or not, I didn't mention this to you guys a minute ago, but this past summer I actually had an internship with Chris Doyle, who was a grad of the program, as well as Jake Marino, who was here my freshman year. So I interned with them in med device sales, and I actually had a phone call this morning with Tom Fallon, who is a UMass grad as well, who works out in Vegas in med device sales, and actually interviewing with them next week. So hoping it goes well, but I'm on the interview track right now, and I'm hoping to land a job in the next few weeks here.
That's great.
Be careful. Tom is persuasive. He's going to get you to Vegas. He's hired a lot of our guys.
Yeah.
And he's a tremendous alum and was here at a time when we were winning a lot of lacrosse games. So in Vegas, if he gets you out there to recruit you, you may not leave.
Yeah, I might not ever leave.
Warmer climate out there.
Last one. What would you say to someone who's maybe considering giving, and what that would mean to the program?
Yeah, I mean, every penny counts. We appreciate everything that everybody gives to us. We work really hard here, and specifically from the lacrosse program, not being a fully funded group, in order to compete at a very high level with teams that are fully funded, we need all these dollars that we can get. So anything that you're willing to give will always help us.
Chris, thanks so much. Good luck with that interview.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, appreciate you. We're going to send you some highlights from the Hockey East Championship run for UMass Hockey. We'll come back and visit with another of our student athletes here. We are at the UMass Gives 2022 show inside the Hunt Center on Facebook Live.
Welcome everyone, TD Garden, where the Hockey East Championship is back, UMass and UConn. I'll tell you what, if the crowds around the north end and Causeway Street were any indication before the game, this is going to be a rowdy house tonight. We are ready for the anthem, ready for hockey. Let's get it started. Here's Morrow, back to Farmer. Farmer, the wrister, that's redirected. Ufko takes it back from Trevino. One-timer there, save made. Hansen in traffic. He squeezes time. Should have never made it. No, hit the bodies in front. Ufko gloves it down and keeps it in the zone. Just midway through the power play. Ufko fires the shot. Save made. Hansen. Opportunity here as Connolly comes in. Connolly to the backhand. It's just wide. Shifty little pullback, but now Trevino has room. Here's Bobby Trevino. Trevino shoots. He scores! Don't give him space. Bobby Trevino ties the game in the second period. Final seconds winding down. Long pass ahead. Trevino pulls it back. At his feet. Turns away. The backhander comes all the way through, and it's gloved away by Hansen, and we are headed to overtime. In to help out as well. Puck loose, it comes back. Bollinger fires, he shoots, he scores! Deflected on the way! UMass does it again! Back to back! Hockey East champions!
UMassathletics.com/give. Welcome back to the Hunt Room. I'm Jay, Ryan, and we're joined by Faith Richardson from women's track. Faith, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
You know why we chose you, right?
No.
They told us you talked a lot.
It's a good thing.
Yeah,
It's a good thing.
positive representation. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
You guys
How
got
are
a
you guys?
big weekend coming up?
Yes, a big weekend.
Give us a little bit of a synopsis as to, what your career at UMass has been so far. I know it's been dicey with the COVID year and all that. How have you been able to navigate as a student athlete?
Well, as a sophomore, I think my freshman experience was definitely different. I didn't come in the winter, so I came for the first time in the spring. And it was a different experience. I didn't have class in person, so I was mostly in my dorm room unless I was practicing. And it was really cool because I got to get closer with a lot of my teammates since the whole team didn't come back, since we are such an incredibly large team. And I really got to form a relationship with Coach Jackson, which was really great. So,
What are some of the things that you see that, maybe have helped you here in your short amount of time, that whether it be things that help you train or study or mental health? I mean, what are some of the tools that have been at your disposal?
I would definitely say one of the biggest tools have been the academic staff that we have at our disposal. So Liz has been a big part of me just being here as a student, aside from my track career. I really needed someone to show me how to navigate my academics, just how to sign up for classes, and she's there every step of the way. And I think also just the additional staff that are in Boyden, when it comes to Lance and Liz and Emily and Damone, I think that they help every day become easier. And so I really appreciate them.
That's the family right there, right?
Yeah.
All those names.
You know what?
Yeah.
Again, Boyden, hub of activity,
Yeah.
our support units, and the people that care. So she just mentioned so many of them that care about our student athletes. And that's what you're going to remember some of your competitive success. And I 20 years removed, 22 years removed, I remember some wins. And I remember the people more than I remember anything. And that's what's going to, I think, the real awesome opportunity here at UMass is, and Faith has highlighted it, and she's a social person, and so I can, her talking about, she's kind of downplaying the whole COVID thing when she got here, but seeing her open up this year and really be a leader for us in the department, not just on her team, has been pretty awesome.
You guys took a trip.
Yes.
Tell us about that and maybe what that means and that funding coming through the giving side of things here.
Yeah, that was a big opportunity to be able to go to Florida for our first outdoor meet. Indoor, it's very difficult to run outside because of the weather here. So to be able to go to Florida for our first outdoor meet, it's very exciting and it's very helpful athletic-wise because when you're in the hot weather, you get to experience things a lot differently. And our championships are in Virginia. So it's nice to be able to go somewhere with a climate that's more like Virginia and be able to navigate how to train in hot weather, like when to take electrolytes, when to be in the shade, how to keep your clothes on so you don't get sunburned. And I think that's something that's really vital. And we wouldn't be able to get that knowledge without our alumni who are helping us. So that was we really appreciate that.
What's the ideal temperature to run in?
I would say the ideal temperature to run in is dry heat, nothing humid, and 70s and above. I think 70s are perfect in between though, because you don't have to worry about the sun draining you, and then it's perfect weather to get warm.
And a nice tailwind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's the key.
We might get 70 in the next 6 weeks, maybe?
Next week we're going to
That's
hit 70
okay.
a couple times, all right?
We've got the guy at the top here. You got any questions for Director of Athletics?
Ooh, I like it.
I'll
That's
put you
a
on
good one.
put you on
I
the
like
spot.
It's dangerous. We didn't give Chris this opportunity. We might have to get
It
him
just
back
came to my
on.
mind. That's why.
That's a good one. I would say when you look at the track team, what do you think we could grow in?
Yeah, I'll tell you, one of the projects that
Tease.
Yeah, one of the this is good. Did you?
I
get
did
her
not.
going?
She's
This is
just
good.
naturally
So one of the
gifted.
projects that we're doing is that we've already fundraised and done the study, and now we're about $3 million out of 5 that we have to raise to renovate the cage facility.
Has she not seen it?
I don't know.
Guys.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, look at
I didn't even
that.
know you had these images. Okay, here we go.
This is
What
great
a lead-in.
upgrade.
This is good. So this is a rendering of what it'll look like. We'll take down. It'll no longer have any semblance of a basketball facility. It'll just become a track and cross-country facility. And here's some branding that you see, and then you see the pits and the runways and different things here. And then we'll have a 3 or 4 lane track depending on upstairs or downstairs around. It won't be built because of the dimensions competitively to hold meets, but it'll be a training facility that I know will be some advantage for a number of our events, and we're excited about it. We've got a lot of interest from an alumni standpoint in generating investment in this project already to the tune of about $3 million. We got to get to 5. It's an $8 million project. The university is going to kick in another 3 to help us do some just structural things to the building that were needed anyway. And so we're hoping that we can get to a fundraising close ideally by the end of this year, which would be end of 2022, and maybe get going in mid 2023. And maybe your senior year, and we might have you stay on for a grad year and run in there. So, but yeah, it's exciting, and that's long overdue. That cage facility is a multi-purpose facility. We want to make it for our track and cross-country programs and make it their home. And I don't know if it was in the renderings that it'll have a brand new lobby space too, which will highlight some of the successes of those those programs as well.
What do you think?
I think that's incredible. Very exciting.
Now that we showed it, we got to go get it done quickly so she can run in
Yeah,
there.
I want to be able to train in it.
That's the pressure I now feel, which is good. I like that pressure.
I'm gonna clip
like
that
that
segment where you said maybe your senior year, and I'll just send it to you, and you can email it to him your senior year to make sure we're on target. Okay, last one here, Faith. What do you want to say to any alumni that might be watching tonight?
Yeah. I want to say that we definitely feel your presence, and I think it's really, it's a great honor to be able to say I'm a part of the UMass track and field legacy, and you guys are the ones who set the blueprint before me, and so we really appreciate you continuing to pour into our program, and we don't take this lightly. Like when we step on the track, we're UMass, and we're there to win, and we're there to compete, and so thank you for helping us compete.
Well said. Wow. Jeez.
Wow. We're definitely
Right
cutting
click,
that up
save
and
as.
using that. Yeah. We're using that again.
Faith, so much. Thank you so much for
Thank
taking the
you.
time. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to send you to a little of the A10 Women's Championship on the hard court with some highlights and reliving that moment. Back with more here on the UMass 2022 Give Show.
Okay, here we go. There's no time to mess around today. We got to get out to a hot start, knock it down like we did before 7. This one's ours.
We need everybody today. We need effort. We need energy. Let's get this done.
They gonna try to punch us, bro. We cannot let them beat us, y'all. We gotta come on. We work too hard. That's on 3, family on 6. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7.
Fight. Only the bravest can step in the cage. It's only gorillas, the place that I stay. I feel the rage running down through my veins. I cannot change. I was down in the rain. I was out and alone and it left me in pain. Looking at me like I'm really insane. But I took the time just to practice my rain. I hit them with left, right, down, up. Shaking their souls when they get in touch. I they couldn't move me. I know they bluffing. I never lose like I run with the champions. Never lose out on a chance so precious. Looking at me like I'm really insane. But I took the time just to practice my rain. Yeah, I put it to sleep. Only the bravest gon' fight. Shoot. Ooh. Nighttime. We gonna put it to sleep. We gonna put it to sleep.
What a magical run that was for Tori Verdi's crew. Welcome back to our desk here inside the Hunt Room. Before we introduce our new guest here, we have an update on how much the gives.
We're over 600 donors, participants, and we're almost at 150,000. We're just shy of it. And I got to tell you, like, we got to get to, what do we have left? 25 minutes. We got to get to at least 200,000.
Maybe
by then.
A10 Coach of the Year might be able to help us.
This is where it goes from here to here.
Angela McMaster-Pone.
Right? Yeah.
Coach, you are in the middle of the A10 tournament, so thank you for taking the time to visit with us tonight.
I'm pumped to be here. Just really excited. Just came off of a team dinner over at the #1 ranked dining hall. They treated us right over there, and great team meal, great vibes going on, ready for tomorrow.
What a great, let me just say, what a great teammate. She's got a semifinal game at 11 a.m. And I don't know, did you ask? Is that why you asked?
No, it came from higher up.
Oh, okay. Well, it didn't come from me, because I was like, wait, why?
There are steps between me and you, just to let you know.
I was like, why are we getting in? She's got to be focused, but here she is.
We're talking about championships, and what comes to
no
mind?
One better.
10 for Coach.
11.
11. Excuse me, 11. When you think about UMass Gibbs, and we're talking here about trying to raise funds for operating and student athlete well-being, I mean, what are some of the things that you can think of in your time here that have been put in place to help your program?
I mean, our alums have stepped up so much. I mean, they've been so impactful. Some of our out-of-region trips this year, we were able to go to Nashville and play at Vanderbilt, which was a huge, actually, turning point in the season for us, where we had come off a tough loss against UConn, turned it around and really gained momentum. We haven't looked back since that game. But the opportunity to go away and experience a fun city like that and really do some team bonding and that was a huge trip for us, and definitely all of a fundraise trip as well. A Catapult data system that's been able to allow us to implement science and technology to how we train and practice plan. It's just so much information that we're able to get from those units. Another fundraise opportunity there, and just everything around Boyden, between our locker room, our office, branding, and just being able to bring recruits through and showcase all the amazing things that UMass has to offer.
Came up in a question for you, but I'm going to open it up to you as well if you want to touch on it in terms of the student athlete well-being and mental health. Mm-hmm. That's certainly been a topic of conversation in recent history between you, or if you want to handle some of this too. What are some of those things that UMass has done to identify and help student athletes in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, we utilize a lot of those resources. I think it's really important and helpful for coaches too, because a lot of times we are leaned on in that role. So to have professionals on hand that can really help not only problem solve, but also help elevate and take our mental game to a whole nother level. I mean, that has been a game changer for us as we work on implementing confidence building and strategizing, because the mental component of sport is so critical, but then also the support that our student athletes need with the amount of demands and responsibilities that they have to take care of day in and day out. I mean, it's really hard to be a Division I student athlete right now, and especially to do it successfully. So I think the more resources for them, the better.
What about from a nutrition side of things? You mentioned the #1 dining, right? But I mean, you can go there and eat what you choose, and sometimes that's not fully healthy. So, have you seen, I guess, in the last couple of years, maybe a more dedicated focus on improving not only nutrition but sports performance from that angle of things?
Absolutely, and especially, like I said, with the busy schedules, sometimes they just don't have enough time during the day. So with the addition of the fueling station and being able to have snacks around the locker room, it just gives them that energy to continue to be able to go. And I think the information around some of that science is constantly changing. So for us to stay up to date with what's going to keep them fueled and hone in on recovery, it's just constantly changing, and I think we're doing a great job of stepping up and making sure we're at the forefront of that.
Those are two areas that we just highlighted that candidly, we're scraping the surface of investment there, and we need to be better. And so we've really focused on our sports medicine, strength and conditioning the last couple of years to invest in those areas. But sports psychology, mental health resources, we could have 25 clinicians and still need more. I mean, it is a great need right now on college campuses in general, and certainly in athletic departments. And then the second thing is nutrition. And we're while we have a great dining program here, really fueling our student athletes in the right way. And every athlete and every team is different. And we are just beginning the science and the work on that to really make sure that we can put the right resources behind it from a fueling station perspective. And that's one of the advantages of having this new weight room in Boynton. We'll have a fueling station there. That'll be about a $300,000 to $400,000 investment as part of a $2 million project that ultimately we want our young people, when they're not in class or not at practice and not at a meal, to be able to utilize that for whether it's protein advancement or hydration or whatever it may be, to be able to stop in there and take advantage of that. And so that's a growing priority and something we're going to go out and try to fundraise for, not just at a sport level, but as a department in the next couple of years.
Last one for you before we let you go and get your preparation duties for tomorrow morning's game. You know, you mentioned you just came from team dinner and kind of the tightly knit group that you have. What's been the relationship with your current players, and how do you bridge that with the former players that are still involved in the program, or are they still involved in, you know, helping, like we talked about the lax backers? I mean, how does that relationship build with those two units?
Absolutely. I think networking, our alums step up big time, whether it's Zooms or individual phone calls, different interview opportunities, they step up all the time. We are so fortunate to have members of our 1982 championship, national championship team here a few weeks ago, and honoring them, and just it's the 40th year anniversary of that team, and you know, they're just trailblazers. And for our players, current players, to have role models like that in terms of these women who have had such a huge impact on this entire university and our athletic department, I think that there's nobody better to look towards than our alumni.
Coach, thanks so much. Good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Good luck.
All right.
Thanks.
It is the 50th anniversary of the Title IX legislation. So when we come back, we'll hear from some of the women on campus and in our athletic department that have been directly affected by Title IX, coming up right now.
My name is Jennifer Broder. I am the Assistant Athletic Director for Sports Medicine, and I have been at the University of Massachusetts for 15 years.
I'm Deanna Doheny. I'm the head football athletic trainer, and I've been at UMass for just about a year.
Title IX has made a huge impact on my personal life and my career. I was fortunate to have a mother who was very pro women's sports and didn't get to have the opportunities that I had, and she encouraged us as kids growing up to do whatever we wanted, and that interest in sports led me to a career, and it's been fascinating to see younger athletic trainers that are coming up get opportunities that I didn't have, you know, growing up in the 80s and starting my profession in the 90s. So Title IX has definitely opened doors, not just for me, but for hundreds of people that are just beginning.
Title IX for me, very similar. I mean, I grew up playing sports. I was the son my dad never had, and so you know, that's what got me into doing this. I got hurt. I found out what athletic training is, and then from there I've worked with athletes of all different shapes, sizes, from all different backgrounds, and that really allows kind of you to be able to work with all those different people because they're all involved.
It's changed significantly. I have a book that I keep notes in throughout my career, and you know, a lot of issues and situations that I ran into early in my career have thankfully stopped. There's one of my favorite stories is from 6 or 7 years ago. Even an official came in and asked who the head athletic trainer was, and everyone kept pointing him down the row till he got to me, and he said, you're the head athletic trainer? And I said, yeah. And he goes, for football? And I said, yeah. And I said, you know what else? And he's like, what? I said, I got to vote in the last election too. And his buddies were like floored that he wouldn't understand that it was okay for a woman to be in the football athletic training facility. So you don't get that as much anymore, which is nice. I keep saying, and we were talking about it not too long ago, is it's going to be really nice when you stop hearing the first woman to do X, Y, and Z, and it's just normal. It's not a big event if a woman is an official or an athletic trainer or a coach or any of those things. But you know, my first goal as an undergrad in 1987 was to work in the NFL, and the first woman in the NFL was about 6 years ago. So, you know, it took a long time, and I never got there, unfortunately, but I'm okay because I've been able to help. I would like to think that we've been able to help pave the way for those that are now there.
You know, when I talk about being a female in football, and I say, you know, at the end of the day, whether I'm the only female standing on that field or one of 15, I want to do my job, and I want to do my job to the best of my ability. And whether that's male or female, that's what's going to get noticed, right? And if us as females can do that and do that more often, then of course there's going to be more of us.
Title IX in sports is just one part of Title IX. If you go back and you read the actual law, you know, it was med school admissions, law school admissions, any federally funded program needed to abide by Title IX. So I think sports has become a great opportunity for those other areas to get improvement as well. And if we can continue to use sport to help those other situations, I think that's a benefit for sure. I think, like anything, we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go.
Big thanks to Jen and Deanna for taking the time to film that. I enjoyed spending so much time with them and learning about their stories. And, you know, they were pretty candid about, you know, the effects of Title IX and how it's, you know, helped them along the way and changed the course of, you know, college athletics.
We've got amazing women in our department, not just student athletes, but coaches and support staff. Two of the best right there that you heard from, and big part of what we're doing in this football building with those two, and the growth of Jen is our assistant AD for sports medicine. The growth of our sports medicine program and unit is at the advocacy and of Jen and Jeff Smith, and they made a great case to continue to invest in it, and they've done a nice job in that leadership.
We're going to talk a little bit more about what the future might be at Massachusetts for enhancing, you know, and celebrating Title IX. But the reason why we do these things live, because we've got gifts that come in. So we've got a big gift coming in, and it's coming from the men's soccer alumni Sean Green, 2002, and his wife Kate. And what is this gift? What's
Sean?
the details?
I'm going to tell you,
this
Sean is kind of a contemporary of mine. A couple years after me, just in terms of school, but I've gotten to know Sean over the last 5 or 6 years. An awesome soccer alum, has a lot of pride in this program, and I want to thank Sean and Kate. Great people, believe in the power of this university, and certainly Sean, as he wore Massachusetts on his chest as a student athlete. This is to name our what will be our new men's soccer locker room in the Boyden building. We're fundraising for the lockers, and there'll be a lounge in there as well. It'll be a totally new space for the men in our program, and it'll have the name of the Green family or Sean Green. I don't know exactly what they want to be, how they want it to be named, but because of their generosity, they'll have naming opportunity on that space.
They honor in Sam Koch, I believe.
Is that what they're doing?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yep.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. Sam Koch, a legend coach who Sean played for, who, like a lot of our coaches here, developed young people for life after UMass. No one better than Sam Koch.
And now in the Hall of Fame here on campus. So big thanks to Sean Green and his wife, Kate. Thank you all. And we've got the gifts coming in. We've got questions for Ryan Bamford. But first, let's touch on this Title IX celebration and what are some of the things that we have in store down the road to highlight and celebrate and enhance the women's sports side of things here.
Well,
on
you
campus.
mentioned it, 50 years of legislation, 1972 to now. It's been, and I will say, just in the last 5 to 10 years, I think the adoption of so many practices and so many things to advance women's athletics, not just at the University of Massachusetts, but across the NCAA, have been remarkably powerful things and needed and beyond It should have happened years ago. And so for us here at the university, we've got, Ange mentioned it, we've got the 1982 team. It's their 40th anniversary. We had them back. When we had them back a couple weeks ago in early April, I told them that they were going to be the third team to go into the Hall of Fame here at UMass. That's going to happen in September. Pam Morrill, who was the best player on that team, an All-American, also an All-American field hockey player, she's going to go in as an individual into the Hall of Fame. And we thought it would be great to coincide. They were kind of the next team to go in, and we ended up putting men's basketball 96 team in last year because it was their 25th anniversary, and I wanted this team to go in on the 50th anniversary of Title IX and the 40th anniversary of their championship. Pam Hickson was the head coach of that group. And Ange said it, you know, when you get alums to come back and be part of your program and just spend time with your teams and your student athletes, it's awesome. It is just, it's what makes UMass a really special place, especially. And so for us to have them back and to be able to celebrate them as a group next September when we have the Hall of Fame ceremonies will be great. And then we've been layering in a bunch of things since back in January over the course of 2022 to highlight the advancement of women's athletics here at the University of Massachusetts, celebrating our championship teams. We're doing at least one, if not 2 or 3 a week. In fact, I just saw one for our 2017 women's tennis team recently, their championship, A10 championship. And so every week we'll be rolling out more and more of those stories on social media, telling people how amazing the women here at the University of Massachusetts have been in the bedrock, really, of all the success that we've had as an athletics department.
You ready for some questions?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's see what we got here. Thank you all for submitting these questions. I'll bring them up on my phone. And let's see. Well, I guess you just answered this one from Jacob Munch. He said, what is the athletics department doing to increase on-campus support for all the very successful women's teams that UMass has? You mentioned kind of honoring them. Is there anything specific?
Yes. So that's some of the stuff we're doing with Title IX. But just in the last 4 years, we've renovated every locker room. We're actually doing a brand new locker room for our rowing program in Boyden. We'll do a renovated space for women's soccer as well. We've upgraded Ange's women's lacrosse locker room, swimming, tennis, women's basketball obviously is in the Champion Center. So track and field. Frank Martin's wife, Anya Martin, it's the Anya Martin locker room. At Forrest Family, actually, her maiden name. They gave us money to help do that 5 years ago. So we've renovated all of those spaces that they use for locker facilities. That's happened over the last 5 years. And then women's soccer practice facilities, certainly done a lot in field hockey, a lot in our lacrosse. Softball is one that we're focused on now and trying to make sure that we're staying up and keeping Sortino Field really at a high level so that we can recruit against some of the best programs in the country under Coach Henderson, give her a chance to go back and win some championships. So a number of projects that are have been completed and are ongoing here in the next couple of years.
All right, let's see. We go down the list here. Let's see. As the Frank Martin magic continues to build on campus and throughout the Commonwealth, what is the best way for alums that have been on the sidelines for some years to engage again? What actions can alums take to move the needle and make a difference for UMass athletics and basketball? That comes from Jeremy Hathaway in Ipswich.
Yeah, Jeremy, good question. One that I think is really important at this time. Frank has come in 5 weeks. I mean, you've seen it, I've seen it. He's a game changer. Yeah. Like it is a different deal. The environment over there, and we don't even have these recruits, these transfers, a lot of them, and some coming from high school haven't even arrived yet. And I am so excited about what the 2022-23 campaign will look like for men's basketball. I would say, Jeremy, 2 things. If you're in the region, or even if you're not, because if you're in the region, buy season tickets is certainly one way, and get to games and be loud and be proud. But even if you're not in the region, one of the things that Frank wants to do is we want people to buy season tickets, and if they're not there, or even if they are and they can't make a game, donate them. And we want to get into the community. We want to get into Springfield. We want to get into Eastern Mass and bring youth groups, bring people to that may not have the opportunity to experience UMass basketball, bring them to the Mullen Center. And we got to get our students back in. We've got to build equity on campus and in this Amherst community and in Western Mass. But Frank's got, he talked to Coach Calipari 3 or 4 times already, and Coach is like, get to Eastern Mass as well. Get them to come out on the Turnpike or Route 2. Get to these games. Frank's going to build a winning program. We want to sell out that first game and show him and our team we are behind you. So that's one way, season tickets. And then obviously, I'm always going to say, donations to our court club. The things that does for our basketball program, really, really impactful for us. And have an opportunity to build not only what we do every day, where we invest high level from a university standpoint, but it's all the add-ons, all the things, the nutrition things that we talked about earlier, and supporting Frank with the right infrastructure from a staffing perspective. We've been able to do that, and I think it's going to yield tremendous benefit down the line.
Let me add, when we do events, make sure you come out to them, including the Coaches Caravan that we're doing in the month of May. If you haven't seen those details.
There you go. There's going to be these are going to be fun events. Like I'm stoked. We're going to do 2 at night on 24, 25, and then that luncheon at Charles River, which is a gorgeous spot in Newton. And these are going to be fun events, and I hope that people will come out. I hope that we'll get a broad range of fans, from young fans, young alums, to those that have followed our program for 40 and 50 years. And Coach has already made it to our lunch bunch group here on campus, and has made it to a number of other stops. And obviously people have seen him on social media. But this is a great way, not only for Coach Martin, but to talk to Coach Carville and Coach Verdi, to tell their championship stories, and then to hear from Coach Brown at the end of spring ball. I mean, you're going to see spring practice here wrap up on Saturday. Hear Coach talk about what is in store for the Minutemen on the gridiron in the fall. I think these are going to be 3 awesome events. I hope they're filled to capacity.
Yeah, plus it's an opportunity to buy me a Wormtown IPA.
Ooh, are those good?
Oh,
you
yeah,
like those?
they're great.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, one more for you here. This one comes from Stephen Schraven from Athol. Okay. And I feel that this is an obligatory question, so I'm going to come at you.
It's got to be about conference affiliation.
Yeah, absolutely. Probability percentage will you give UMass football for a conference home in the next 15 months, 15 months?
I wouldn't say it's we're at a point now where I don't think there's a conference. There could be ability for us to get into a conference. I'm not sure that our alignment with we don't have alignment with some of the conferences that may be interested in having us join. And it's a product of what we've built for schedules over the next 6 or 7 years, what our television contract will look like, the financial implications of a move, and really setting our program up for the long term. I don't want to just go to a conference to go to a conference. And we made a push at some point earlier this winter, whenever it was, late fall, winter, and Conference USA was one, but that landscape has changed. The membership in that landscape, in that conference, has changed even since we made that push, and I don't know that it's a good fit for the University of Massachusetts at this time. So we're going to continue to survey things, make sure we're putting our program in a good position, but not just go into a conference for the sake of doing that. It's not the smartest thing over the long haul, and I know some folks don't agree with that, but I've worked it long enough to know that we're in a good spot, and especially with Coach Brown and what we're going to be able to do in building a successful program in the next 5 years.
We're pretty excited about that, and actually speaking to Coach Brown, you'll be able to see what his team might have in store on Saturday coming up here for the spring game. That will be broadcast live on Nesson. We've also got a busy week and weekend in store for you here on campus. We'll bring up the schedule here with a lot going on. Spring game, join us. It'll be me, Andy Gresh. We'll have Ryan Bamford. Isaiah Rogers is coming back. A lot of the alum are going to be having a live broadcast here at the Martin Jacobson Football Performance Center, and then give you a good feeling of what's going to take place and who's here. And by the way, there's still a bevy of players that are incoming that aren't here
almost
yet.
20.
Yeah,
almost 20.
So they'll add over 30 new players to the football program. You'll see a few of them at the spring game, but then more to come when camp ramps up. And then also, you've got baseball this weekend, lacrosse. We talked about that with Coach McMahon-Serpone, and track and field as well. So is this the busiest weekend of the year?
This is a huge weekend. I mean,
we've had some busy ones.
We got Greg Canella's team at 6 o'clock, and Chris Conley was just here. Drexel, this is to get into the CAA tournament. A huge game. It has potentially seeding implications and access implications to get into the tournament. Big game. So a huge weekend for us. Fun weekend. We're going to have a lot of people back here, especially for that spring game, and I'm excited. And we're getting a little bit of, it's going to turn into the 50s tomorrow and 60s on Saturday. So I feel like I'm doing the weather forecast. I got a green screen behind me, and the clouds are moving this way.
That's what the big desk is for, boss. That's why this is here.
Shout out to Jay Burnham for getting this. This is, I feel like you and I could maybe, pitch a couple sports centers from here.
I'd like
except for your intro today.
We'll let that slide. Maybe a weekly thing when we get into the season next year. We shall see.
You might see it.
UMassathletics.com/give. Bam, anything you want to add as we head out?
I just want to say how grateful I am, how thankful I am for those that support us, and the opportunity to be here as the leader of this department. It's humbling, 7 years in, and we're just getting started here. I told a reporter earlier today that was doing a story about men's basketball, just the bigger picture about our department. I've never been more bullish than I am right now on UMass Athletics and our chance to represent the Commonwealth. So thank you to those who have given today, who have given in the past to support our programs. And let's have a big finish to tonight, get to tomorrow, and we need to make a huge push. I'd love to get back to $500,000 again like we did last year. And last year was a special year coming out of COVID. I think people really wanted to support us, but we're doing great so far. Got a great Minutemen Club staff that's been able to steward this, and I'm excited about tomorrow and finishing up strong. So, Jay, thanks for today.
Well, thank you. We would like to highlight that Minutemen Club staff, Jason Germain, Dave Biancamano, Ryan Boudway, and Christy Lawless for helping us set all this up and really being the backbone of that fundraising arm here on campus. Chris Tucci's been hanging out with us as well, screening the questions, and of course, our broadcasting duo, Taylor Wink and Drew Holtgreave, who have been amazing. Bammer, we'll see you on Saturday for the spring game.
Let's get it going. Big
all right.
weekend.
UMassathletics.com/give. Thanks so much for joining us here today. Until next time, my name's Jay Burnham saying so long from Amherst.